Us, who you are, what you do, what your role is.
Hi, I'm Andrew. I'm in charge of the aesthetics and marketing department. So essentially it's my job to make sure that the team looks nice, so putting up posters, doing the painting, building anything that's going to be seen by the public. And then marketing is sending out pictures and videos to sponsors and getting sponsors interested in managing the finances of the entire operation.
Okay. So we're teamwork basics class, which asks a lot of questions about teamwork and what would you say your team's strengths and weaknesses are?
Definitely the strength is that we get along really, really well. Everyone knows each other, everyone's friends. It makes for a very productive environment because you're around people that you like, and so you really get to know each other. That helps work as a team. And then for weaknesses, probably lack of communication is probably the biggest one, with especially some of the more rash members of our team tending to go do something without telling one of us first. And that's been an issue, but it's getting better.
So you have poor communications between lines, or just people?
Between departments and consulting one another about the robot is the big one.
Yeah.
But it's getting better.
Good. What are you guys doing to make communication better?
One of the things we've been doing a lot more Facebook communications, that is, but we created a Facebook group for the team this year, and that actually really helps because when people have issues, they can just post it there and let everyone see it. And I've been trying to send out more emails to team members about what's going on, updates.
So you use Facebook emails for communication?
Pretty much, yeah.
Personal as well,
Oh yeah.
Cool. Cool. What do you see as the main obstacle in competing in the competition?
How so?
Like, what is your biggest obstacle when you go into competition?
Going to the competition or getting ready for the competition?
That could be your biggest obstacle.
I guess.
Yeah. I guess.
The big thing is getting enough money, as opposed to be the biggest obstacle that we have to overcome every year.
Okay. What would be the second biggest then?
Second biggest obstacle, deciding on a design quickly. Because this year we spent too much time prototyping.
For the robot?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it hard to reach consensus on a design? Like, is there a lot of...
No, we just have a lot of ideas.
Like
and
different
want to try
ideas.
Them all out.
Okay.
And then we get too caught up with those ideas and need to decide on a design sooner.
Yeah, because you don't have much time, right? It's like
6
6 weeks. Yeah.
So, and you can explain this just too, because I'm not an expert on the Robots Association or anything, but how it works from what I understand is that they give you an idea, they say we need to make a frisbee thrower, or we need to make something that can shoot a basketball or something, and they give that to you in 6 weeks to do that?
Essentially, yeah.
And then during the time that you aren't doing that, you're getting funding to do that?
Oftentimes simultaneously.
So you'll get funding during the 6 weeks too?
A lot of it comes in during that because sponsors like to come in and see what we're doing as we're doing it.
Okay, that makes sense.
Interesting. Okay. So money is your biggest concern. The second one is deciding on the design for the robot.
Yeah.
What would you say your third one is?
Third,
So it compiles to a
technical difficulties.
Technical difficulties.
Yeah, just the code doesn't work most of the time, so
And
just
your code
fixing
C?
it.
C sharp or C?
C++.
C++. Okay, cool.
You're like, now they're speaking my language.
So getting it to code correctly, or getting...
Just getting bugs worked out, like if a motor fries itself, getting to sure the electronics all work together, making sure the code works, and all of that. Murphy's Law, if something can go wrong.
Yeah.
That happens a lot.
What do you guys see as your biggest obstacle as a team? You said were communication, and your biggest strengths were you guys like each other a lot. You get along really well. So, what do you think is the biggest obstacle you guys have? Do you think the biggest obstacle you guys have as a team is communication, just that alone, or do you think there's other obstacles you face as a team?
I don't really think so.
No.
Because obviously we built the robot every year, so something's working.
Obviously. Okay. Moving on. What kind of goals do you guys set for fundraising for your competition for working on the robot?
goals, essentially we just want to have fun and do well. And that's really what we focus on. And so we always try to build a competitive robot and do as best as we possibly can. And then we just enjoy ourselves doing it.
How do you set goals?
Set goals?
Yeah, how do you set goals for like...
We have meetings as a team every week, and we just say, okay, this is what we need to do, this is how we're going to do it, and so we set deadlines and just decide what we need to do, essentially.
Okay.
Sorry,
so
I'm not explaining that very
Oh, no,
well.
you're fine. So you have team meetings, and in these meetings, do the students decide like when...
Oh yeah, absolutely. We're entirely student-run.
No way. So you don't have like a
Well, technically, Trey is in charge of the program,
Yeah.
but he almost never actually shows up, and so we just run ourselves.
So you guys just get together as a group of students and decide, okay, we have these deadlines to meet.
Yeah.
This is how we're going to do them.
Pretty
Do you make project plans? How do you make sure
What do you
meet
mean by project plans?
Like, do you have like a really, you describe a project plan? Like, do you have a document or documentation of like, this person's doing this here, this here?
We'll write it up on the
these days?
whiteboard when we remember.
Yeah, it's kind of like
That's your project plan.
kind of like delegating tasks.
Yeah,
You said you have
generally
deadlines.
what we do is we just have the tasks that need to be done up on that board, and that's for each individual department, and then whoever's in charge of that department is in charge of delegating to the people that are in that department.
Do you have like?
Are
I was gonna say, do you have like specific deadlines for certain things? Like finish this
Yes,
part of this road.
absolutely.
Okay.
We have a calendar online that has all of our deadlines. That's accessible.
So your project plan essentially is your calendar online, it's a Google Calendar?
Yeah,
Okay, so you have a Google Calendar and then you have that whiteboard. And so that's kind of their task list then too. So that's how you guys make task lists.
Yeah.
I would say that's more your task list and your calendar is more like your project plan. That's what it
Yeah.
seems like.
Essentially.
Yeah, it's interesting. Okay. And you make sure you meet those deadlines kind of like by peer pressure, by making sure everyone can see those tasks.
yeah,
During
and
the
that's
meetings?
the fact that we'll probably kill the person if they don't make it.
No.
Because especially when it comes
Really?
to getting the robot done, it's a lot of pressure to get it done quickly.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out.
And would you say everyone chips in? Does they share?
Everyone who's dedicated does, yeah.
Yeah.
People who actually show up and pull their weight.
What are the most challenging issues you have for team cohesiveness?
It's going to be.
We have a few people, mostly freshmen, that come in and don't really do anything, aren't participating, and that's probably the biggest issue that we have, is trying to get everyone to participate.
Uh-huh. So would you say the freshmen don't participate because they're freshmen or because they don't know how to do all the robot cool stuff that seniors
I
know
think
to do?
that's more the issue, that people don't know what to do. I think they know how to do it, but they don't know what to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Okay, so you have trouble with unexperienced employees, we'll call, in your team, like, and that causes a lack of team cohesion.
Yeah, they just come in and don't do anything. And we'd like to have them do stuff because there's stuff to do, but they're not participating, which isn't great.
Would you say anything else that causes lack of team cohesion other than freshmen?
It's not just freshmen, but
Yeah.
I can't immediately think of anything.
Maybe just like people that want to join the team but aren't really
Yeah.
dedicated, like don't actually want to do
Those
it.
are the
You
people
kind
we
of
have the most
expect them
trouble
to get
with.
something done and then they just stop showing up, you know.
Yeah, that happens most years.
Like they just thought being on the robot team sounded kind of cool and then realized it was a lot of
generally
work.
for the first meeting of the season, we have about 40 people show up, and then by the end, that boils down to around 20 or so.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, okay.
That's good to know. Okay, so how do you decide who gets placed in which team and like where in the team in general?
Yeah, anyone can sign up to be in whatever department they want. And
Okay.
some people are in all of the departments, and some people are in only one.
Oh, no way. Interesting. So you don't have to exclusively be in one team. You can
Oh,
be
no.
like in a bunch of... Oh,
Yeah.
cool. That's cool.
The department heads tend to just be the one that they're in charge of because that's what their job is. But most of the other people are in several.
And there's no barriers to entry. You can just sign up.
No,
Say,
yeah, you can just sign up.
Oh, cool. That's interesting. How do you resolve conflicts in the team?
We just talk about it, I suppose, at a team meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
And just figure something out. We really haven't had it happen. Like, I think since I've been on the team, it's happened maybe twice ever. And so it's not a problem that we have very often at all.
We're looking for good and bad news.
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
So you know, we're like looking for both. We're looking for both of those, so it's totally okay.
I was actually going to say, when it does happen, do you usually have someone in charge, like, make a decision, or do you reach consensus, like, talk it out?
We'll have somebody leading the meeting, but then we will reach a consensus as a team.
Okay.
And depending on what that consensus is, we'll go and get creative if we need to and have him intervene.
So you could have him be, like, the final vote if
Yes.
it really comes down to that?
If that really comes down to it. It hasn't yet.
Yeah.
But we do have that option.
Yeah. Okay. So they go talk to their manager.
Yeah.
Let me see. What is your favorite part of participating on the team? Why do you think most people do this? Because you aren't getting paid. You're
No.
just making robots for fun.
It's for fun. I enjoy being here. All of my friends are on the team. I like making a robot. It's just fun.
And do you think that's why most people do it? Because they like having friends. They think it's fun to do.
I think that's why most people do it. A few people do it because they want the experience that comes with doing this, or they want the scholarships available for doing it, or such like that.
So there is kind of a payment.
There's-
kind of. So what are the scholarships? Tell us about that.
There are $16 million in scholarships available for being in one of these programs, I think, and 1 in 4 applicants gets one. And they're just to all of these huge schools, and they're not just for engineering, they're for things like business or management or film or all of these weird things.
Apparently I should have joined the
I was
robot
gonna
team.
say, dude, get on that. I should have.
And then it also counts as, employers recognize it as 4 years of engineering experience.
No
in the
way.
Really?
field. So,
Wow. That's really cool. And how many students at SHS have gotten that scholarship?
A few.
A few?
Our team's pretty new
Yeah, you
comparatively.
Yeah.
And so we've only had like around 10 people graduate since we've been founded. And I think 4 or 5 of those have gotten scholarships.
Wow.
That's still really
That's
good. though.
awesome.
That's really good.
How do you keep morale on the team? What motivates you guys?
I'm not really sure. We just
Other people can chime in too if they have
Yeah,
like
we
comments.
just- I don't really know what motivates us.
I think everyone likes having their part in the robot, and it's generally just a really cool place to be. Much better than just going home and sitting around for however long.
It's just a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think most people just do it for fun.
Okay.
We've got a very simple mantra.
Robots, fun. So you guys are motivated because you guys like to have fun. Do you guys have like, after you complete a competition, do you guys have a big party? Do you guys have like an award ceremony? Anything like
Both.
That? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
our party's actually tomorrow.
No way.
And we just generally go. We were going to have laser tag, except they canceled on us. So. But then we just hand out joke awards based on inside jokes and such like that.
Nice.
Just have fun.
Nice. Okay. What role do mentors play in the group? School faculty, parents, and sponsors.
Mentors help out designing and building and programming, and are generally just helping us do the technical aspects of it. Because when we first joined the team, we're a bunch of high school kids that have absolutely no clue how to build this robot, and so we have community mentors come in and say, this is how you should go about doing this. But we're very careful in the fact that they aren't allowed to actually work on the robot. It's all students. They just help and guide and say, if you want to do this, you should do it this way, otherwise this bad thing will happen. And then parents, we haven't had as much parent involvement as we would have liked. We're trying to improve that. But helping bring food and helping drive people to and from competitions and other outreach events. And then sponsors obviously give us money, and in return we put their logo on team materials and videos and such like that.
Okay, and school faculty?
We don't really have any faculty except for Mr. Krier. And as I said, he's there. And he's great. We really like him. He just doesn't actively involve himself.
Just kind of hands off.
Yeah,
Hands-off
which
guy.
we like. That's what we're about.
It's not like laziness.
No, it's not.
no.
He's
Oh,
not.
yeah. It's more like,
He's here, like during the build season, he's here every day from raves all through the school day till like 5 or sometimes 6, so that we can be here and work on the robot. And he doesn't tell us what to do, so that we will learn how to do it ourselves. It's kind of saying he takes the same attitude during a lot of his classes. He wants us to figure it out, and so by doing so, we gain that experience and become better at solving those kinds of problems in the future.
I mean, that's good. He like motivates you guys to do it on your own instead of like holding your hand, you know.
That's the idea.
That's cool.
Non-micromanaging manager. Woohoo.
Yeah, I just.
I'm trying to think. That was my last question, but what do you think? I'm thinking that we should probably ask more.
Yeah, probably.
Mr. Krieg also facilitates any work with any of the adults outside of it. You know,
Yeah,
since
he's-
myself, I'm the tech guy. I keep the laptops up and running for them and install the software. And he's the main communication between us, between the mentors, primary, and any other staff and or coordinating and so forth. That's what he would be responsible for.
How do you guys like know what deadlines to set and how to like make your project plan or your task list or your Google Calendar and that
Yeah,
whiteboard?
we-
How do you guys know?
We make it up.
Yeah,
I
we
You make
suppose.
it up. Yeah.
We are given a few pretty solid deadlines, though.
Like
For
what?
example,
Well, like putting the
completion
robot
of
in the bag. That's
Oh,
a
yeah.
deadline that we have to meet.
Yeah.
And so we just plan everything towards that. And then a lot of it is just stuff that we make up, like the team t-shirts have to be ordered by this date, otherwise they won't be here in time for the competition.
Yeah.
Or such like that. Hey,
And each sub team has like their own deadlines they need to meet.
yeah, they set them themselves.
And they do. Oh, interesting. So like, does anyone delegate tasks?
Whoever's in charge of the department
Mentor,
delegates.
you know.
Does someone delegate tasks to each department at all? No. I'm trying to think of
Generally,
something, but-
generally, each of the department heads just knows what has to be done and assigns accordingly. And if we need to, we'll have a team meeting and appoint stuff to be done by like the aesthetics departments.
Is there any time where like one department needs another to meet a certain deadline so
Oh,
they
yeah,
can do something?
absolutely.
Like
That
a lot of
happens.
it builds on itself, right?
Like for the fabrication department, one of the things that we almost always have them do is try to have the drivetrain of the robot done by the first week, because then the programmers can start programming it while the fabrications are still doing things, and then the aesthetics department can start designing the bumpers, and so it stacks really heavily, especially
Okay.
when we're building the robots.
Okay.
Thought of a question, then I forgot it.
I stole your.
Oh yeah, how does that work with having people in multiple teams?
They just do the work that needs to be done, because like for fabrication, sometimes you can only have one person running the CNC machine, and so there's other work to be done in other departments, so they'll go and help out with what needs to be done.
The department thing is kind of a misnomer. What it is just saying that the department head is responsible for that aspect of the robot. And so so we have like got this pool of people who aren't department heads. And so they are interested in various things, but the department heads say, this thing on the robot needs to get done, who wants to do it? And someone will volunteer to do it, or maybe they can say, hey, you do that if it really needs to get done. And so they are responsible for that part of the design, because they are like really experienced in that area, because they're all the department heads have multiple years of experience. So they know what needs to be done. So they just have to get it done by telling everyone else what to do.
In some cases, the department head will do the work.
Oh, that's, yeah, the department
Yeah,
heads end up
definitely.
doing a lot of the work themselves.
Yeah. So really, the different departments and stuff, that's more of, it's kind of a technicality. It's really just kind of one team.
It's really just this person.
It is
Yeah.
one
This
team.
person is in charge of this part of the robot.
Exactly. Okay. That's interesting. That's not exactly what we thought.
No.
At least that's not what I thought.
Would you guys say that you guys are all codependent on each other?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Very codependent on each other. Okay, cool. I would say they're an actual team then.
Yeah. I would hope so.
There's actually a thing called people can call people a team and just like delegate them tasks and they won't have like confusion.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, this sounds like legit. I'm trying to think what else I could ask you guys. How do you guys get fundraising? Like, what is the best way for you guys to get fundraising?
Through sponsorship is the big one, and that's my job. And so essentially what we do is we call up businesses, so to speak, and say, hey, look, this is what we do. This is this cool program. Would you be interested in sponsoring us? And we'll give you this and this and this in return, and it's a future investment for you because you're creating future employees for yourself.
Oh.
Okay, so you do like electronics companies, like people who
Yeah, like
want
Boeing
students.
sponsors us, Google sponsors us, Platt sponsors us, companies like that.
That's cool.
And so essentially we just call them up and say, hey, look at this. And it's not always tech companies, like we get a lot of sponsorship from local businesses and such like that.
Cool. And you like sell to them as like, we're becoming your future employees.
Yeah,
Essentially.
sometimes it's community involvement. Sometimes they want the advertising that comes with being on the robot in front of thousands of people and such like that.
That's interesting. Do you have any sponsorships from companies that are neither local or tech?
Neither local or tech.
Seems to
don't
me
think so.
seems to me like it'd be either one of those two.
Most of them are local. The
Okay.
ones that aren't are tech related.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Makes sense. What is the hardest part of being on your team?
Keeping grades and other extracurricular activities in check because during build season we're here until like 7 or so every night, and then obviously we still have homework to do.
Ah.
We still have other extracurricular activities or sports or something else that people are doing, and then most people like to get sleep, so it gets pretty tiring.
Totally relate to you. Do most students, like, are they, I know there's a robotics class as well as the club. Are most students who are in the club in the class?
Most of the department heads and the people who pull a lot of weight are in the class. For the more advanced robotics classes, and then the lower ones are open to the school, and there's a lot of school people in there that aren't involved in the club at all.
Huh, interesting. Would you say that most students that are involved in this go on to be engineers or go on to do technical
Only
things?
10 have graduated, right? I mean,
Well,
10
approximately.
graduated.
No, there's been more people that graduated, but our first few years there were 10 people on the team.
yeah. Okay.
And
Okay.
so it's been very slow. This is the hugest team we've ever
How
had.
big is the team now?
About 20 or so people.
Oh, okay.
And so,
It gets kind of hard to define which people are on the team and which aren't, because people can just show up. And towards the end of the season, all the people that show up tend to do work, but you can definitely say that some people do a lot more work than other people. So it's a little bit hard to say, like, we have such and such a number of people.
Yeah.
So it's like 20 people are on the team,
But it's
someone
like,
might only
depends
show
on
up
how you do
once a
things,
week
you know,
or
like,
something.
yeah, like
I
that.
suppose technically we have like 34 people registered to be on the team, and about 20 of whom actually show up. Would you say that's about
I
right?
think so, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Interesting.
Let me see this. I should have printed this out.
So how do you hold each other accountable, other than just having like everyone see that board?
That's true.
Nick?
It's like, well, mainly the board, because everyone knows what the other people have to do. I think that's about it. It all has to get
Yeah,
done
it's
eventually.
just, it has to be done, and whoever's responsible for doing that has to do it.
And the punishment for not doing that is like kind of like pure acknowledgement that
Yeah,
you
there's nothing. I
takes.
don't think we have.
We've never had a
needed, like,
punishment.
official sanction.
It seems like,
That's good.
you know, like you guys were saying, like you're a big group of friends, so you really don't want to let each other down
Yeah.
or anything in that sense. So it is kind of peer pressure,
Yeah,
sort of.
if it
and-
came to it, I think someone else would step in and do whatever it is
Just
that
do
needed to be
it.
done, but I'm not sure if that's ever really happened.
Yeah, I don't think it's ever really happened, but I imagine that is what would happen.
Wow.
I'd say like essentially you guys are like a close-knit group, so you feel obligated
Yes.
to do it. Like you'd be letting your friends down
At
if you
least
didn't
for-
get the work done.
At least for all the department heads. What it is that the department heads are people who've been here for a few years, and so a lot of the people who aren't department heads are new, and so we don't actually know them that well.
Yeah.
Sometimes, and so I can say that the top people are a close knit group of friends, and then we try and make friends with people who are coming in, but we don't know them quite as well.
Okay. Okay.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
So you guys, would you guys say you have team trust then?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Pretty solid team trust. Awesome. Do you guys take time off?
Not really.
The 6 weeks? So y'all
No,
on-
we're in here during the weekends.
Oh, you come in on weekends too.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, we only have 6 weeks.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. I mean,
And you guys fully need the 6 weeks you go.
Oh yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then after build season's over, people have gotten used to just coming in here every day after school. And even if they don't have anything to do, people just come in, hang out.
Is there like any consequences if it's like not completely done by the deadline?
We will not do well in the competition.
exactly.
No,
Very
there's
consequences.
Yeah.
Have you guys like been scrambling last minute to do
Oh yeah,
Yes.
it's been like
Yeah.
the past
One way or
2
another.
years has been. This year especially is the first year that we've actually been calm and relaxed on the last day of build season. And then the years before, like my first year on the team, we have to bag the robot by midnight, and we bagged the robot at what was it, like 10:50,
Yeah, it was
or
pretty late.
it was ridiculously late in the
Wow.
evening. So, but it's getting better. This year we had it in the bag at like 7.
So you have to put it in a bag to like give to.
Yeah, we have to put it in a big bag,
Like
and then we're not allowed to
bag.
touch it until the
Yeah.
competition.
So it's so that we
Whoa.
can't work on it. And then when we get there, they inspect the bag containers, and it's got like a serial number tag on it. And
Yeah,
it's
okay.
signed off by Mr. Ray. And
Oh,
we can
no
check
way.
that. We used to put it in a crate and ship it there, but that just costs so much money that the
Yeah.
first switch to doing the bag and tags is about a bazillion times cheaper.
Cool.
So, how did you guys do in the competition this year?
We did pretty well. We made it to the quarterfinals in both of our regionals.
We often make it to the quarterfinals, but this time we actually won a quarterfinal match.
Oh, really?
So that's the
Nice.
first for that. I think what we have to do is we have to. There's like we've reached a certain barrier. Like we can get to the quarterfinals pretty consistently. We do that half the time in our competitions. But okay, a little bit more than half. This is the first year we've ever had any chance of going further, and so I think we need to get a lot better before we can make any headway into the final rounds. So it's quarterfinals, semifinals, and the actual finals. So we've won one quarterfinal match this year. It's the first time ever. So next year we have to win 2 and then make it to semifinals. So I think to do that, it'll be a lot harder because we spent a lot of time getting just to the point where we can win 1, and so. I don't know. I think we're going to have to get a lot better, but I think we can now because we've been getting better at an exponential rate.
Yeah, well, I mean, that is kind of how it is with competition, you know, it's easier to be better than one person than to break into, you know.
I think it's really
the top
easy
of the top.
to get to the quarterfinals, but to actually be a good competitor, that's really hard. So
Exactly,
we've been getting there, but we've never been a good competitor, and so we're finally starting to become a good competitor.
I think we were a good competitor this year.
Yes,
except we
we-
just got unlucky.
Yeah, well, it's easy to say that. It's like, oh, if we'd been lucky,
Competitive
I
game.
think
Kind of
that's
world, but-
legitimately true though.
Yeah.
Seattle.
Totally are. Okay, I have a question. So would you say there's roles that are defined within a team? One of them is a liaison. It's a person that does most of the communication with outside people. How many liaisons would you say are in your team?
2 or 3 probably.
3? Okay.
Well, you do like
I do
marketing,
most
so.
of it, and then Connor helps out and create.
We try and get people for fundraising. We tried to get with you had a program to try and
Yes.
get everyone to
We had a program.
contact people, and some people really went out and did it. That was good.
Mixed results, but we tried.
Yeah.
There's also the role of gatekeeper and devil's advocate. Gatekeeper, I forget.
Gatekeeper is someone who facilitates a conversation, you know, try and say there's someone quiet in the room. you know, and you want to get their input on something, having someone on your team that like really tries to get everyone to.
That would be whoever is leading the meeting.
Yeah,
So
whoever's leading the meeting.
We
Okay.
plan things and design. We design like the broad aspects of the robot in whole group meetings, and so it would be whoever's leading that would probably be you and me or Andrew,
Okay.
who would be responsible for that. But I don't think we have
A designated
Well, yeah.
role.
Yeah, well, not even
Yeah,
designated. It's like
yeah.
we don't have a consistent role. Like we don't usually do things in a big group. Like most of the design decisions in the robot were made in smaller, like inside each department, and so that like whoever's being the gatekeeper, playing devil's advocate, will change depending on the conversation.
Yeah.
Like they'll just do that in that specific instance. Where I don't think anyone does that consistently enough to say that they are that person.
Do you think that's like a common thing though? Do lots of people act like gatekeepers and devil's advocates?
I've never actually
I
really
don't
thought of
think
it.
we've ever-
Yeah.
But I know
Well,
I've never
yeah.
I never heard of gatekeeper before. I've never thought of that as a role, so I don't really know. Devil's advocate, I think, would happen whenever it happened very often when we're talking about technical things, like we could do it this way or this way.
Yeah.
And then people would just they would say this has this advantages and disadvantages, and, you know, work it out from there. So I'm not sure if we ever really needed a devil's advocate role. Like it's always been like these two options are probably pretty valid, and so we don't need someone to be devil's advocate. It's like, oh, that's completely outlandish, but here's the reason, you know. Like it's never been a something that's completely ridiculous and they have to advocate for it. It's just two options, and we.
Okay.
I don't know. We've never really noticed
Yeah, I
those
mean-
things happening. so.
Yeah.
It's not really something people
Yeah.
directly think about, like
Yeah.
how the specifics of your team work, you know.
It sounds like you guys do some devil's advocate and gatekeeping. I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
everyone involved.
then again, I've never assigned anyone as
Yeah,
a
no.
gatekeeper until this class, so.
What are the other roles in our team? There's like,
It's pretty much just like their technical stuff, like we have an editor and all that,
Okay.
you know. Those are like the main, like, social ones, pretty much, I think. I mean,
event planner.
yeah, there's like someone who does scheduling, like a leader.
Sounds like everyone kind of does scheduling now, from what you were saying.
Yeah, and Andrew's
I think that
responsible.
department-
Yeah, I do most of the
Scheduling.
scheduling.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Too much scheduling. And goal setting and all that jazz.
Well, not so much
No,
goal
not
setting,
goal
but he
setting.
makes sure
No.
that everything happens.
Who does
like
goal setting then?
the
The
team.
departments and the team.
Well, yeah, the department heads and the
The
team.
department heads of the teams.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Speaking of which, we should talk about
Oh,
space.
basically.
Okay. Like Andrew's the one who makes stuff like that happen, where there's something that needs to be planned, like with some external thing, like Linux
Like
Fester,
Linux Fester, the Ski to
or
C.
he makes
That's
those
my
kind of
job
things
to make
happen.
that happen.
Cool. So you guys do ski to ski?
Yep.
Is that fun?
We just
Oh, yeah.
we go.
We did
In the,
it last
well, no, we go in the parade. We don't. Go
Yeah,
in
just
ski
the
seats.
parade, not
Oh,
We just pull
gotcha.
the robot.
Same. That's
yeah, the
robot.
robotics team ski to sea racing. Yeah, that would work so well.
I think we should have ski to see.
Brilliant. Because we're all so athletic.
Hey, I actually like sports. And
What would
George
you-
actually likes sports too.
Well, George is on another team. He
That's
doesn't
true.
count. So is Cam, and Zach, and John.
Should have joined the ski team.
Well,
Much else.
Connor, I think
I
you
think-
need to do
I think
think
we
we're
make
good.
a really
I
think
good
we're
like
good,
maybe we could do another interview.
rowing team. There
Yeah,
we go.
yeah.
If we need it.
Oh my gosh, that
Oh,
actually
God.
would be fun.
Yeah.
I feel like
How
we
many
got most of the
robotics
information we need.
members?
Probably.
Maybe we want to get some email addresses.
We rode with an 8.
Yeah, we could do
have
that.
some email addresses for you guys, like for like your guys. I don't know, just so we can
We have a
talk to you
website.
guys. Like,
Maybe follow-up
Follow-up
questions just in
questions.
Yeah,
case,
absolutely.
or do another interview. I'm not sure if we're actually going to need it, but
Yeah.
just in case.